Paul Kedrosky, PhD in economics, big maven, TED speaker, senior Kauffman fellow, CNBC expert. What have you got against airlines?
Hate airlines. I'm not sure why exactly, other than apparently they hate me back. So I guess that's probably the best reason.
Well, you recently posted something which only Mike Arrington of TechCrunch has, I think, beaten in terms of his hatred for airlines. What was going on, and what is going on with airlines?
So I'll tell my story, then I think I can take it up a level and talk about why I think it's happening. But my story was I was flying back from Calgary, Alberta, through LA, back to San Diego, where I live, and I made it in last flight of the day. Ran across the airport. We were a little bit late getting in, but nevertheless, got to my flight on time. I got to my flight before it had left. The ramp's still connected to the plane. Plane hasn't gone anywhere yet. And I said, I'm a very frequent flyer. I mean, can I get on the plane? And the guy at the gate agent just about giggled. This was awesome. He had a guy at 11 o'clock at night, last flight out. The flight's there. He gets to sort of decide at a whim whether I live or die, metaphorically speaking.
And you're a 1K United.
I'm a 1K United, and he said, "Screw you." He said, you can't get on." And I said, "But the plane's still here. I see the plane here." And then of course it got worse, where he said, "Well, you don't have a ticket. There was no one that we bumped. That we let everyone on who was supposed to be on." I said, "No, I have a ticket." He said, "No, you don't have a ticket." So I pulled out my ticket and I showed it to him, and I said, "Well, there's this ticket that I have." "Oh yeah. Well, we did kick you off earlier." So I mean, the bastard lied to me. He told me that they didn't have my first off.
Do you have his name?
I do actually. I don't remember it here, but I took a note. I took the guy's name because this is part of what you deal with these sort of low rent hoodlums at the airports. You get their names, and so I couldn't quite believe it. I mean, I was literally in shock. It was 11 o'clock, last flight out, and they wouldn't let me on the plane. And got the guy's name because he had made up nonsense about me not having a ticket. And then I had to concede that he wouldn't. And they just took the ramp away from the plane, and I was stuck sitting there. And he said, "Well, it's too bad for you, my friend. Find another way home." It was really a remarkable feeling because the complete apathy about my situation, not because I even wanted them. If he would have said to me, "You know what, we just can't because." No, he took huge glee. He had huge glee in the idea that he had trapped me. I was like a bug, pinned to the windshield. And he just loved that I could do nothing else other than stand there and just, sweat.
Is this the way that poor people are revenging themselves on wealthy analysts like you or on Mike Arrington?
I like to think so, but I think it's even deeper and more structural. Like, for me, it goes right to the level of why the airlines are in such big trouble.
I mean, what do you think this guy's earning? $10 an hour, $15 an hour?
I'm assuming, knowing airline unions, I'm assuming it's considerably better than that. I think instead what it is they feel, and I've heard this from airline employees since, I got a bazillion emails from people, many of them who worked for that airline or other airlines, saying that, no, you don't understand what the airline has done to us. That management has had this giant pay raise, and they're paying themselves obscenely well. They're laying us off, and they're cutting costs all over the place, and they still expect us to show up for the plane with a smiley face and deal with customers at the last minute who have special requests. And I'm like, well, yeah, they do. And they say, well, we don't want to, we don't have to. And that's the response, though. This is their way of kind of passively aggressively taking it out.
So you're the casualty of poor relations between management and staff.
We're the casualties. We're all the casualties of poor relations between management and staff when it comes to the airlines.
And what is the broader issue here, perhaps beyond the airlines, of this consumer anger and rebellion against airline companies, government, big media, everyone that we have to deal with on our daily lives?
I think it's that we finally see there's so much visibility to the problem now where, I can share a story and everyone else says, yeah, that touches something with me because I've had exactly that happen. And it gets broader and it becomes almost viral where people can share and say, it doesn't have to be that way. And then they find out that there are other airlines that aren't that way. I had a delightful flight to Singapore not long ago where I said, the best thing at the end would have been if they just said, we're going to do a 180 and go back. Because I said, this is going to be the highlight of my trip, I guarantee it, was the flight across. So when you realize that because of this kind of, transparency of information, that other people are having the same experience, you don't have to have the same experience, and people are listening to you, it's like, what's going on? What's the missing piece here? And you realize the missing piece is these old institutions are just dead. They're dead inside. They don't care about you. They don't care about all they're trying to do is resolve their internecine warfare through some kind of, global game of risk conducted by employees. And you can't get out of the middle.
And the people who work for them are dead too?
They quite clearly, this particular person did not care about me. I have met people at United who were delightful people, but I have met many people at United and elsewhere who just didn't care. They don't care.
Does the American airline industry have a future?
Oh, I hope not.
You hope not?
I desperately hope not.